everyone, and welcome to plotting inequalities on a number line. Today you're going to learn how to plot inequalities on a number line using your inequalities, your variables, and your numbers. So let's go ahead and get started. In your weekly workbook there's a note page. Please turn to that note page and write down this one math vocabulary term that we're going to add to variable and of course your whole numbers. The word we're going to add is inequality, and inequality says that two values are not equal. You might have already seen or been aware of inequality symbols. You probably just haven't heard that word used with those symbols before. In elementary, they like to use the alligator or the crocodile for greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. But just know that these symbols right here are all inequality symbols. And again, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video so that you can get the notes and then go ahead and play it when you have the notes taken. So plotting inequalities on a number line, how do you do it? How do you know which point to plot? Which way does my arrow go? So let's go ahead and start with the points on how to know which point to plot. So you see these different inequality symbols over here. We have the less than or equal to, the greater than, and then the greater than or equal to. You'll notice that the less than and the greater than signs have empty circles. So you will plot those as open circles. You will not fill them in like the less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. And the reason for that is because if it's just less than, it's meaning that it's not including the number that they're starting with. So if 3 is less than 5, they're not including the numbers that are in between those or that are higher than those. Okay? So the less than is an open dot, greater than open circle when you're plotting it on a number line. Then you'll notice the less than or equal to, greater than or equal to sign. Okay, you have them filled in because that includes that number. So 7 is greater than or equal to 7, it's including 7. So 7 is a part of that. A fun way that I like to tell students to remember these on whether it's an open circle or a closed circle is that think of the equal to sign and the less than or greater than equal to sign. The bar right here, it looks kind of like a door. And what do we do to most doors? We close them. So that can help you remember that, yes, these need to be closed circles. So if the door is not present, then that means you have to have an open circle when plotting them on a number line. And yes, I would put these down in your notes because this is like the overall example that you will need to help you prepare and study to move on with your homework and for the rest of the week. So again, we went over the circles, we went over which ones we have to plot and how to plot those, and which ones that we need to tell in order to plot our inequality on the number line. So then the next question you're going to ask me is, well, which way does my arrow go? And it's pretty simple. So if you're shooting a bow and arrow, that's what I like to tell my students. Think of an arrow hitting the target. What part of the arrow is going to hit the target first? And that's going to be the tip of the arrow. So you see right here, treat this inequality sign, the greater than inequality sign, as a tip of an arrow. So if I was plotting this inequality, and I can plot that for you, so let me get my pen out. So if I was plotting this inequality right here on a number line, I would say, okay, well, first of all, it's an open circle because it doesn't have my equal to, it doesn't have the door. So I'm going to find 3 and I'm going to plot an open circle. Okay? And then I'm going to say, okay, well, where's the point that's going to hit my target when I shoot a bow and arrow? And the point's right here, so it's going to the right. So then that means I'm going to graph my line, my arrow, to the right. Okay? That's all you're doing. So I just plotted this inequality right here on a number line. Okay? So if I was plotting this one on a number line, and let me get my eraser here so I can erase this for you so that we can go over this one, and I get my pen back. So if we were plotting the second one, inequality, again, our circle has to be open because we don't see the equal to sign under there. We don't see the door. So we're going to have an open circle at 5 since that's our number. And then this time our arrow is going to be shooting to the left at our target. Okay, and then that's it. So that's all you're going to be doing this week is plotting those inequalities on a number line. The hardest part is differentiating between the circles, but if you can remember that fun trick I told you, you should be okay, and especially doing your arrows to the right way. So think about shooting that bow and arrow so that you can graph the arrows in the right direction. So again, let's try some together. So we're going to go ahead and do our number line. Okay, so since I'm going to plot that x is less than 4 on my number line, I'm just going to go to 4. Okay, you can finish the whole number line if you want to for your examples, just to be a little bit better than I am right now, but I just want to show you these examples quickly so that you guys can get started on your homework and classwork. So if we go to 4, it's positive 4, so I'm obviously going to have an open circle right here because my inequality doesn't have the equal to underneath it, so it's not including 4. So we're going to go from 4, and then I'm going to shoot my bow and arrow to the left since that's the way my arrow is pointing, my inequality symbol. So then I just graphed that inequality and I plotted the point on the number line. For this one, I'm going to start with 0 again. We're going to go over to -2. This one will be a closed circle because my door is there, which is my equal to sign. And then again, my bow and arrow would shoot to the left since that's the point. And then for this one, start with 0 again in the middle. Do 1, 2, 3. It's going to be an open circle because it's not including 3. And then my bow and arrow this time will be shooting to the right because that's the way my tip is facing. And then the last one, starting at 0, I have -1, so that'd be right here. It's going to be a closed circle because my equal to sign is there at the bottom. And then I'm going to shoot it to the, oops, let me erase that. See, I'm going the wrong way. Don't do that. Bad mistake. And then my arrow is pointing to the right, so I'm going to shoot my arrow to the right. And of course your lines will look a little bit better than mine, but that's pretty much what you're going to do to graph your and plot your inequalities on the number line. So let's go ahead and go this. Now it's your turn, so write A, B, C, and D in these problems down and create your own number lines and plot your own inequalities on the number line. And yes, we can go over this here in a few minutes when we get back, when you guys re-adjourn to class after watching this video. Okay, so we went over everything, how to plot them. Seems very basic, but you will get some instances where they have the variable on the right side instead of the left. Again, your variable should always be on the left and your number should always be on the right. If it's not and you get something like this, then all they want you to do before you start graphing and plotting your inequality is to just flip-flop it. Okay, so then you would put your variable again on the left, your number on the right. Those are the first two things I like to do so that I don't get it mixed up when I'm trying to flip it. And then I look at what part is open to the number or close to the number, whether it's less than or greater than. And then in this instance, it's greater than, so then I would have my greater than still facing my 5. And you can see that these two match up, so then I flipped it the correct way, and then I can go ahead and plot my inequality on a number line. So if you ever see the number on the left and the variable on the right, please make sure you flip it before you plot the inequality, because if you don't flip it, then your arrow is going to be pointing in the wrong direction, which means that you plotted the inequality wrong on the number line. So make sure if your number is on the left and your variable is on the right, if it ever gives you that, make sure to flip it because your variable always has to be on the left. And if you want to make a note of that in your notes, that's perfectly fine. And then this last activity that I would like you to do is just to match the inequality with the correct number line. So you can basically go through these. If you don't want to really match them because you can't really drag them over, I would just draw the number line in your notes and then put which one that you think it is. And then if you have any questions for me after this video, we can go ahead and go over those questions and then proceed to our activities for today. The last thing I want to go over before this video is ending. Again, you can play this video at any time from here to the rest of the school year. You have access to it on your math agenda. But there's also a neat video that I did, and it's through Khan Academy, that I did add to your practice modules. Again, if you go to the math homepage, go to the tab that says modules and scroll all the way down, you'll see plotting inequalities on the number line as the unit title, which is the unit we're working on, and then you will see the show me video. I like to give these videos so that you guys can visually see them working through the problems like we did a little bit before, but it helps to basically keep going over and over and making sure you're making the right steps when you're doing your homework and your in-class work. And then if you have any questions at all, I would go to the practice modules always, because those videos are really cool to look at, and they can really help you through your homework and what you might be having trouble with. So I did add this Khan Academy video to your practice module, so make sure you go ahead and check that out. And then you guys can proceed to the rest of your notes and to the rest of your math agenda. And this concludes the video over plotting inequalities.